No heroics needed, but the man who made history in Vegas at the end of last season, making his presence felt in Santa Clara. Mecole Hardman goes jackpot again as the Chiefs top the Niners for their 12th consecutive victory. No pictures on the scorecard, and this one not necessarily pretty on either side. Patrick Mahomes, 16-27 for $154, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns through the air. Brock Purdy struggled himself with 3 interceptions as both of these defenses flexed their muscles, but it was Kareem Hunt, perhaps as the difference, 78 yards on the ground and 2 house calls. Joe Musso alongside Lige Douzable. Deuce, it is always my pleasure to share a desk with you. And I believe the last time we did, it was the Bellagio fountains behind us. And we're waxing poetic about a new dynasty minted. Still haven't lost these Kansas City Chiefs as they rematch with the team that they beat in Vegas a year ago. What stood out to you about this performance? Because neither team looked like what I expected them to be.
When you look at the Chiefs, me and you were having a candid conversation, Moose, about Andy Reid and how he could be analytic-based, but then he'll get in this mode like, I'm going to put it on my offensive line, and we're going to out-physical you. Case in point, after Brock Purdy's 3rd interception, right, they go down on a 12-play, 80-yard drive to seal this game. You know what was crazy about that drive, Moose? 9 of the 12 plays were runs. They ran it down San Fran's throat and said, here, take your medicine. Do something about it. And then you talked about it, Mecole Hardman, the Super Bowl hero. He painted it off at the end on an end around. But because they were able to run it so effectively, the linebackers were getting downhill, and that's the analytical part that you talked about with Andy Reid. He's always out-thinking everybody. Get you up close for the run game, then we're going to bang it around with our speed with Mecole Hardman. I just love how the Chiefs instilled the physicality that last drive to win this game.
Team game, but I want to talk about some individual performances because Patrick Mahomes joins Peyton Manning as the only quarterbacks in the last 30 years to throw more interceptions than touchdowns and lead their team to a 6-0 record. The only thing that matters is that win-loss column at the end of the day. They're still undefeated. Correct. They are still the class of this league. What are you seeing in Mahomes' performance, not just today, but over these last few weeks as they try and round into form?
Yeah, a few of the interceptions have been miscommunications between him and the receiver, but a little bit of bad luck today. The first interception was tipped at the line of scrimmage. The next interception was a miscommunication between him and his receiver. But the crazy thing is, Joe, I got crucified for saying that last year, when they went on that run to the Super Bowl, that Patrick Mahomes managed a lot of those games. And for the Chiefs, the Patrick Mahomes that they need right now is a guy that can manage the game and win it. You talked about they have injuries at the receiver position. They're still trying to work guys in. They had injuries at the running back position, right? Kareem Hunt comes off the bench, and he's getting 27 carries, 20 carries. But Patrick Mahomes has been able to either run the ball, find Noah Gray, who was really big for them today, and just not try to force the ball down the field, right? And that's where he got in trouble last year when they were going through that little lull of a losing streak. He was forcing the ball down the field. Now, to your point, he has more interceptions than touchdowns, right? He's not lighting up the scoreboard. He's essentially managing the game. And again, this team is led by its defense, and that's all right. And when Patrick Mahomes needs to be Superman like he was in the Super Bowl, he can go be Superman and put that cape on. But for right now, manage the game and let your defense lead you to wins.
You reach that level of greatness that Patrick Mahomes has, and you stop concerning yourself with these different metrics. The only metric is, can I further my name in those history books? And that's not statistical. That is stacking championships, and he seems hell-bent on adding another to the trophy case. We are a long way from that, but they remain undefeated. They remain the class of this league. On the other side of it, we saw Brock Purdy, in some ways, reduced from personnel to what Patrick Mahomes has had to deal with. An elite tight end and a bunch of twos. No Juwan Jennings in this one. Deebo Samuel doesn't record a stat with illness, and then you lose Brandon Ayuk to a knee, the extent of which we will bring you here on CBS Sports HQ. What did you see from Purdy? Because he's been so sound throughout the season. 2nd in passing yards coming into this week. We're talking about his air yards. He's doing more for his offense rather than the pitch and catch, run after catch that we've seen. Where did he lack in this game?
Today, when you have your 4th, 5th, 6th receiver, it's hard to get on the same page. That interception that was going to Ronnie Bell, he expected him to be in a certain place. He wasn't. Brock Purdy was throwing to that specific area, ends up getting intercepted. The one in the red zone, that was just bad luck, right? Nice rush by George Karlaftis. He literally is hitting him as he was releasing that football. Jaden Hicks was in the right place, right time, picks it off. So when you look at it, right, when you don't have your top weapons, you expect your backup guys to step up. The Kansas City Chiefs, their backups have stepped up. For right now, for the San Francisco 49ers, when those guys were thrust into action, they weren't on the same page with Brock Purdy, and they weren't able to make big plays for him.
It was interesting to watch this one because it was not exciting. I will say that, at least in terms of quarterback play. By passer rating, this was the worst game in both of those individuals' career. Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes entering this game north of 100 on average in terms of passer rating. 36.7 for Purdy, 44.4 for Mahomes, the worst passer ratings in a start in either of their careers. As we move forward, because it's a team moving forward with a win, another one having to look inward, wondering what their personnel will look like moving forward. But this is Andy Reid with extra time to prepare. This is Kyle Shanahan with extra time to prepare. Where do you see the hallmark of the San Francisco 49ers? Because we can point to the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs and say, that's enough to get them there again. Where is the place that you point with San Francisco right now?
To me, it has to be Jordan Mason in the run game. We talked about it for spurts of this game. Jordan Mason literally was decapitating the Kansas City defense right now. Steve Spagnuolo is a very smart defensive coordinator. He said, oh, we're going to start adding guys to the box to stop that and force this number 4, number 5, number 6 receiver to beat us, and they couldn't do that. But Jordan Mason, I believe, still is top 3 in rushing yards this year. And me and you talked about this too, Moose. For the longest time before Christian McCaffrey got there, it was backed by committee. But right now, Jordan Mason is their lead back.
That's the committee.
He is the committee. And everything kind of starts with him on offense because everything comes off of that run game for San Francisco. They want everything to look exactly the same. That way they can hit you with a heavy play-action pass, hit Ayuk on those in-breaking routes, get Deebo Samuel involved in some of those end-arounds, right? But they have to continue to make Jordan Mason the feature of this offense, especially because they're hurting right now at receiver.
It was apparent to see as George Kittle, again, having a fantastic season, the leading receiver in this one. Behind him, not a whole lot to show in that passing game. As you turned it around and handed off to Jordan Mason, we always hand it off to Lige Douzable. Deuce, we appreciate the insight as always. Here's a look at what the 49ers have done. And, I mean, you could split it in half. You could play the waiting game. You could say they're a second-half team, but they got some things to figure out, the 49ers, in terms of health, execution, and what they got out of their quarterback here on Sunday. But from weeks 9 through 17, under Kyle Shanahan, usually pretty darn good. We'll see what it looks like moving forward for the Niners.